you guys on this Wind Down Wednesday. So, what is the banter? What's going on? What you guys brewing on today, Mr. Duell and Dr. Dre?
Oh, well,
Okay.
me,
Mm.
hey y'all. I'm brewing on some Carlo Lassi sangria that a friend of mine dropped off in my house like a couple weeks ago, and I just been waiting for a good occasion to break it out. So why not Wind Down Wednesday?
Hey,
Cheers.
okay. And what you got, Dr. Dre?
Well, I decided today to go with this multicolored cup full of Mount Gay rum directly from my native country of Barbados,
Okay.
mixed with a little bit of Coca-Cola from America. And we're just going to sip on that because it feels like it's a strong beverage today. That's how I'm feeling.
It does feel like a strong beverage day. I don't know what it is about this Wednesday, but I feel like this hump is a big one. And me, I took it way back and I am drinking tea, but not just any tea. It's a black tea. It's my mom's recipe. So this is like one of my forbidden drinks as a kid. Like I could not have it, but I would always speak it. And it's how she makes it. It's like it's an English tea, so it has sugar and then just milk. But her sugar to cup ratio, which is on it, to where it's like every sip you tasted the sugar. She would use evaporated milk from this company called Pet Milk back in the 80s, but now hard to find it. Bomb. That's gonna get me through the rest of this week. So
Do you have English background or what it is? Because my mom does the same thing with the sugar and the milk and the evaporated milk.
my grandma's half Irish and African American, so I think that might be why, because it was a thing my grandma did, and then my mom just
Passed it
followed
on
through.
to
Or
him.
my grandma has Irish in her, not half. She has Irish in her, and I think it's just a thing that's just been passed down. Because yeah, she does the same thing.
Okay, nice,
It's so
interesting.
good. So speaking of back in the day, I have a special guest.
Ooh.
Teddy Ruxpin.
What the hell happened to Teddy?
So Teddy's been through some things. Again,
A lot of things.
I got him in like the 80s.
Yeah.
So he's lived some decades. He's been stepped on. But I figured since we are taking it way back to the 80s and 90s, I would bring my special guest. He's been with me for a while. He was also a forbidden toy I couldn't play with. He was always that, like, my mom was like, this is your learning toy. So you don't get to play with it. You just gotta sit down and read the books with it. So when I got old enough, I took him with me to New York, and we've just been, seems like New York did him in more than it did me. But yeah, so he
Exactly.
So I just got, like, I was just reading that they're remaking some movies from the 80s. And that's my year. Like, I love 80s movies, 90s. What are your guys' takes on these remakes that are happening? Like, they're remaking freaking, what is it? The Never Ending Story. So allegedly, like, I guess they had said that they were going to do a remake of it on, what do you guys think about that? What are your takes? I have some takes, but what are your thoughts on that?
Personally, I loved the original Neverending Story. I love the storyline. I loved, the look of the city, in the 80s and 90s when this movie came out. It just looked so ridiculous. But what I'm looking forward to actually is the production of this new film. All the CGI stuff is going to make all the things that we thought looked corny back then look incredible on screen this time around. So I'm excited about that. I'm just curious about it. I'm gonna watch it just because it's a childhood memory that I will never forget, and I'm gonna have to see what these new kids are gonna be learning about. So I need to check that out for sure.
I saw I don't know if it's how it was a mock-up of what the dragon's gonna look like, but he looked kind of scary.
I think he needs to look scary. I mean, there's a point in the original movie where he's supposed to be attacking those kids at the end of the film, and he just looks like this big old puppy dog, and these kids are running away from him like, oh, it's scary, but you're not scary, you're pink and you're flying. You look like an amazing pen. Like turn it into a dragon so that scene makes sense, please. Thank you.
You're thinking you're flying. What are your takes on like just remaking? Like, what are some ones that you want to see remain, and what are some ones that you're like, don't touch?
So I kind of had a love it and hate it list going of like
Oh
the
yes.
remakes that I loved so far and the ones I hated so far. So I would say one that I am looking forward to is the upcoming remake for Wicked, based off of Broadway musical. They're adapting it into a film musical adaptation of the play that was very famous on and off Broadway for years. And it was a recasting. Of course, originally the characters of Linda and Elphaba were played by Kristen Chenoweth and Idina Menzel. And now they've recast it and decided to keep it a little bit modern and getting another Broadway baby, Cynthia Erivo, one of my favorite girls, Ariana Grande, to play Linda. So I'm really looking forward to that. Like I said, from what I've seen in the trailer, of course it's very CGI. I forget who the director is. I need to look it up. But NJ Abrams, Ridley Scott, one of them. Somebody in the planet played it. But, but
Right.
I'm looking forward to it. It's about to be a two-parter. So they're going to drop first part in November, a week before Thanksgiving, because they didn't want to compete with another film that's coming, which the other remake that I'm looking for, this one, I only do two for now. Another one that I really love that's coming out, Evil Cheese.
Yeah, but they're doing it in two. Isn't that like a two? It's a whole nother. It's a whole
nother vibe. I think it's like a continuation of the story where we left off. So, like I said, I don't want to get too much away. Like, some trailers out there if anybody wants to check it out. Of course, Winona Ryder's coming back. Catherine O'Hara. They're adding in Jenna Ortega, who plays Wednesday on Netflix. And also, of course, Michael Keaton is coming back in the title role to play Beetlejuice again. I'm really excited about it because I've seen the original, I've seen the cartoon version, I've got a sneak peek here and there watching the Broadway adaptation. So this new, I would say this is a remake sequel, I guess. I don't know, but we shall see it. I'm really excited for both to come out. And of course, I'll let you guys know which ones I really a little bit later. But who's next?
Joe, I'm indifferent to remakes because there are certain movies that invoke like a certain emotion for me that I think it takes me back to my childhood. So when I see it done again, I'm expecting it to be, to get that same reaction. So like I know they're doing Blade again. Blade is a hit or miss for me because I can see that being remade and doing good. One of the ones that was a total flop for me. And I don't know if it was just because during the time it was released and the stuff going on with Kevin Spacey, if that made a difference, but Billionaires Boys Clubs. So it was remade from 1987. It had who was the people in there? I think it was like right now. Because like I said, I'm like really like those cult movie fans. Like I'm into that. So like you don't really hear about it, but it was like it drew in a cult because of the people that were in it. Right. And for Billionaires Boys Club, the one that was in 1987, it had right now.
John Chu directed or is directing Wicked, by the way.
Oh, John Chu.
Chu.
So the old 1987 version of Billionaires Boys Club, it had Judd Nelson, and Brian McNamara. And then this one, the new one that was in 2018, that was a remake. That one had Kevin Spacey in it, Ansel Elgort in it, and that one did okay. I wish they would have left that alone because, like, I think it's a cult movies. Like, I don't want to see them remake The Breakfast Club. I do not want. I want that to stay classic.
No. Yeah.
The moment. What's that face, Joel?
I was about to say.
I wanted to do I love The Breakfast Club. As you brought it up, it is a classic, and if you're gonna do it right or not do it at all. So I'm like that. I'm with you halfway. I'm like, if you're not gonna do it right, don't do it at all. But at the same time, I mean, if you do it in a way like, let's say if you did it like maybe not a movie. Like we're saying, a lot of stuff is coming from Broadway to film, but maybe if you take a film and you take it to Broadway, maybe the opposite would be better as that kind of remake or as they like to say in film, reimagining. Doing something like that, like with a lot of the films, would be kind of great before you can kind of like get a feel for what people want. take it to Broadway and see if the people are really, really jonesing for it, and then move it into film just to kind of get like because like Broadway is not a big or small loss. It's only depending on the producer. But when you do a film remake, that's a bigger loss. That's millions and billions of dollars that are being invested into one film by one studio. So that's what I'm saying. Stuff like instead taking something instead of taking it to the big screen, kind of like do like a preview or kind of like get everybody to kind of get their feedback on it, see how well it does before investing into a multi.
Or just leave it alone. Just leave it alone.
Yeah.
There's so many talented writers out there that can probably write something just as good, maybe, influenced by. I get, though, like for film, because with Wicked, we've never seen it as a movie. It's been just, it was a book. It was it's on the Broadway. So this will be our first time actually seeing it reimagined as a film. But it's hard when it's like, and it might be cool to see Breakfast Club as a, Broadway show if somebody wanted to write that as a play. But to go from like something I grew up on and then seeing it recast, and I'm just like, there's some things I'm okay with. Like there's some things I can be like, oh, that was a great remake. I'm happy they brought it back. There's things that they haven't brought back that I wish they would bring back as a remake, like Salute Your Shorts from Nickelodeon. You're talking I want to see that remade, or like into a TV show or an extension of something like that. Also, like, they were to bring back something they did, Color Purple. That was okay. I think because it came as I think the play they made into a film. So it was a little different, but it was okay. But yeah, there's just some things I'm just like, just leave it alone. Just leave it alone. Just leave it alone. I'm stuck in my ways with that.
Speaking of leaving stuff alone, this topic. Let me give y'all a tea, and y'all. I feel like y'all can feel me on this.
Okay, let me get my tea.
One thing that they could have left alone. Okay, I'm not trying to get canceled. So whoever it is in the ether, please. It's just an opinion. So one thing I did not like, speaking of remakes that I did not like, and I don't know if you guys agree, I think they could have done something different with Little Mermaid with Disney, the live action.
I haven't seen it.
I don't know if we're supposed to talk about that as Black people in America. I think we're supposed to.
No. Listen, Linda. Listen. We love Haley Bailey. It's not nothing against Haley Bailey. I think she was great. Haley Bailey was great. Now, everything else. Now, Haley Bailey singing Part of My World, A+. She killed it. Now, my issue, Sebastian, Ursula, could have been better. It didn't give me the same feels like back in the 80s when it first came out with the animated version from Disney. Like, that gave you all the feels as a young kid. But if you're going to do something from animated to live action, I just didn't agree with some of the casting choices, because we did do a live Disney did do a live version of it before the movie came out. They did it on I think they did like a live musical on ABC, and they casted, they casted Queen Latifah, which I thought was the number one pick for Ursula. She's done it a couple times. They did Disney had did like a portraits thing, like maybe 10 or 15 years ago, where she stepped in as Ursula, and then she stepped in again to play Ursula for the live version on ABC on television for the TV musical. So we thought she was shooting for the role for the remake. They gave it to Melissa McCarthy. We love Melissa McCarthy. Nothing wrong with Melissa McCarthy. I just didn't think that was the particular role for her. I think it just didn't settle with me. Like her version didn't hit. It hit different for me. And I think she's great. You love Miss Melissa McCarthy. So anybody that Melissa, you watching, sis, we love you. It just didn't hit me. And then Sebastian was, I think, one of the guys from Hamilton. He's very talented. Daveed Diggs. Love his work, but at the same time, I would have cast the Tiny Burgers from Unspeakable King Smith, because he's done it before. He's done it on Broadway. He has the range, all of it. That's just me. But I didn't really necessarily love Little Mermaid. It didn't give me the feel.
didn't see it. I didn't see it. I just, and that's my next question. Like, what do you guys think about like cartoons going into live action? I feel like they could be a hit and miss. Like, I wasn't a big fan of The Lion King, live action.
Yeah. I didn't have a problem with The Lion King. I mean, I watched it just because I wanted to see what was going to happen because I remember the movie from childhood, but I didn't think it was anything fantastic. Now, the album that Beyonce did for that movie was absolutely sickening, and
Yes.
I fully enjoyed that. All the different beats, all of the African people in the whole continent was like, we're here on this album right now, so enjoy us, But but the movie itself didn't really bother me. One thing that I might think is controversial when it comes to animated films going into live action, one movie I guess would be the Aladdin movie.
Oh,
and the only reason that didn't like it is because not that I didn't like the whole movie, but I didn't like the scene where Jasmine is being taken against her will or whatever, and she decides to go off into this women's empowerment song. And I was like, okay, it felt like they were really pandering to women at that point. And I was like, why did you add this song? It wasn't necessary. I didn't like how that went down. But other than that, it was okay. Will Smith did a great job as the genie, I thought. So. Yeah. But that part of it just threw off the whole movie for me. I almost wanted to shut it off, but I just closed my eyes.
In the original?
Yeah, the original was great. I could watch that right now.
Right now. Absolutely. Disney's also about to do Hercules, so.
With The Rock or somebody?
No, The Rock is going to come back and do Moana. They're going to do a live version of Moana. So The Rock is going to come back and be. Damn, I forgot. Shit. The character's name. Y'all know, the demigod.
Yeah, the demigod. He did the voice of the demigod anyway.
Yeah, so he's just coming back and they're just doing a live version of it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Moana. I'm looking forward to Hercules, one of my favorites, like 90s. Like when I think of 90s, I think one of the Disney movies that I think of other than Little Mermaid is Hercules. So they better not, in the words of RuPaul, F it up. So, me and the mouse gonna have some issues. I know it's happening. Trouble over the mouse house right now, so need them to get it together.
Oh man, yeah, no, I haven't seen Hercules. I wasn't a big Hercules fan as a kid. I think I was really big into cartoons. I was weird. I was into soap operas and like the stuff.
You were an adult. Were you an adult at 12 or something? What was going on there? Were you an adult at 12?
I was at like 5, like because so my mom, when I was going to school, I would go to school in the afternoons for preschool, or not preschool, kindergarten, and my mom would watch Young and the Restless because it would come on from 11 to 12, and I'd have to be to school to 12:30. So I would always watch that, and then at night she'd watch Knox Landing and Dynasty, so I'd be right there, like watching. I'm trying to think of any Disney, Snow White. I don't want to see the movie. They need to leave.
2 or 3 times.
Yeah, I think they need to stop.
Let it go.
Yeah, it's just
Frozen.
not happening at all. At all. Well, since we're talking about the 80s and 90s in our childhood, what is the one thing that you would want to bring back from the 80s? Like if it's, I don't know, a toy, something that's electronic style, something that's obsolete now. Like, is there something that you would like to see have made it this far? Kind of like how Madonna's made it from the 80s to now. Like, what do you want to see?
Wow.
I'm just being like, what'd you say? We love you, girl. We love you, girl. I'm just saying.
No angrier for me.
That's what I was about to say. You're gonna talk about some no shade, and the umbrella is just sitting there like casting.
Overcast.
Oh my goodness.
Oh God. So like what's that one thing you wish that would have made it?
You know what it just popped into my mind. You remember when we had like physical answering machines?
Oh yes.
and you used to play the song in the background, let that play for about 20 seconds, and you be like, leave me a message. I'm not home. Hey, hit me back on the phone. Hey. I used to cry listening to all these people's answer machine messages just to be so funny to me. And I wish people would do that now. I don't hear that. I just hear, you've reached this number. And I'm like, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear somebody jamming and having a ball. So I feel like they're really busy not picking up my call because you're not about to be ignoring me. And not have,
At least I know you're having a good time.
Right. Have a ball while you ignoring me, Do that.
I remember that. That was cool. What about you? What do you do? I always had one thing that.
Ooh, so for me, for 90s, of course, I love black sitcoms, like my t-shirt is living single, but I mean, if we could bring back those type of shows, like the shows that kind of like, really mattered, really put people of color, black and brown people in different, echelon, a different space than what we're used to. So, of course, that is there because it's obvious what I'm wearing. But one thing I used to love about the 90s was the 90s fashion. Now, I went to school wearing FUBU and the baseball t-shirts and like the jerseys and like tie-dyes and like the sweatshirts and stuff like that. Like the way, they used to wear fashion in the movies was so cool. And I'm like a major fashion head, so like I said, the 90s, just when I think of the 90s, I think of like watching like movies like Clueless and kind of trying to copy what the Jews were wearing because that was really, really cool and all that stuff. So I think one thing I would say fashion just kind of coming back. But back then it was just kind of more authentic. It was like real, like he was wearing real leather, like Wilson's. Y'all know what Wilson's leather is?
Wilson's leather. They had all
real leather.
They were in the mall.
Right.
They had the best.
The leather from Orange Julius. You just smelled all from Orange Julius. Like I'm gonna go back
That's
to
where
that.
you would go to get your suitcases.
Yes, it's like the real Suede, like for real.
Yes. I think for me, I wish the landlines would have made it like more popular because there's nothing like a hang up over landline. When somebody you want to hang up on somebody, there is nothing like hearing that phone slam down.
Yes.
Or that click. Like I miss that. I miss the landlines. I would definitely bring the landlines back.
Because you just can't press that N key hard enough. Like, you just be like, you don't want to bust the phone because I want to pay for the insurance and I don't have an OtterBox. They don't guarantee anything. So, yeah, I would love to have that.
And then they can't really hear it. All you hear on the cell phone is when somebody hangs up is like, well, did they hang up or what? They think that did your call drop? But it's like when you hang up with somebody on a landline, it's death. Like you can tell you have been hung up on. So that's right. I miss that click. I do miss that click.
So what you're saying is you miss the ability to be audibly petty. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, audibly petty.
Another catchphrase, Dre. Audibly petty.
I just miss that ability. I
would love keeping a fly on the wall, watching you hang up on somebody.
Yes.
Breaking up with somebody over the phone.
That's so much better. It's so much better when you hang up on them.
Yes.
It's like, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Click.
Bad time wrong.
And then to pick up and click. So even when they call back, you can pick up and they still hear the click. It's just, I don't know.
You know what's happening on the other end. And she just picked up and hung up on me again. I can't believe her. She did that. I'm going to call one more time. Yeah.
You don't have to wonder, was it a signal issue? Maybe she lost service. No. I hung up on you. It's definitely.
It's not that. It's none of those things. I don't want to talk to you. Have a good day.
Have a good day. So what do you guys remember about your childhood? Like, what was the one thing like that gives you nostalgia just thinking about it? Whether it's smell or just something that just already ignites, like it just takes you back to a memory, your childhood, and what would that memory like be for you guys?
Kool-Aid.
Why was I gonna make Kool-Aid?
Why? I'm telling you. See, we're like Justin and JC. We're insane. So, the 90s reference for the kids, the Gen Zs.
Right.
All of us grew up on Kool-Aid. Like when I think about Kool-Aid, I think about when you had to like those glass jugs to you fill up the water, you pour it in, and then you mix it, but you add more sugar in it than you're supposed to. and it was red. It wasn't cherry.
No, I think it's red. Red was
It
the
was
best.
it was red. It was very it was not good for you, but we loved it. We loved it. We drank all of it on a hot summer day. You go outside with your cousins and your brothers and sisters, and that would take you from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. when the lights the street lights come off. Like, y'all hear me? Like, that's the night for me. That and pizza rolls and Cool Ranch Doritos. Friolas, Capri Suns, Pop Tarts when they first came out. Like, that's what I love about that time.
When's the last time you've had a pizza roll?
I had a pizza
in your
roll
adult life?
maybe a couple weeks ago. And it just brought me back. Like, the Sion ones are now the thing. I think that's one of them back then. But yeah, those when they first came out, we all wanted it. Like, we would come home from school. Your mom would put a plate out for you and your friends. And y'all would go to town on them. Y'all wouldn't eat dinner, but y'all would go to town on those.
What about you, Chris?
I was just thinking about when I was little, I used to love, I looked forward to field day at school. Did y'all have field day in elementary school?
Yeah.
Field day was the business, and you couldn't tell me nothing. You strolled to school that day, you just knew that you wasn't going to learn any damn thing. It was going to be great. You was kicking the ball, you was on the monkey bars, you was making sure that everybody knew that you could run the fastest, throw the furthest, and you was getting all the medals. At least I was. I don't know what y'all were doing, but I was getting all the medals, kicking the kickball all the way over the school fence. They couldn't even climb over the fence. They were so small back then. It was a field day. If we could bring field day back, just for fun, because now we have adults sports, football and soccer and all that jazz. But can I just go outside and let me just show you that you suck for just one day? You know what I'm saying?
Let me just school you on some tetherball.
Come on, tetherball.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to do.
Tetherball.
That sounds like a ball right now.
Yeah. But I think what brings me back is ramen noodles.
I'm about to get up too. Listen, let me go.
So and so my mom still gets them just for the seasoning packets when she's making her dressing. So when I go, I'm always eating. I'm like, I need to have this top ramen. Like, I don't even need it, but it's just something about when I was a kid. That's what we would always eat. But we would eat them raw because we were too young to cook. So I remember putting them in the taking the seasoning, putting it in there, smashing it up, and just eating it out of that. Top ramen is for me. Anytime I have a top ramen, it just takes me back to the summer days. You're around the neighborhood trying to search to see which kid is up, which kid is out, with your bag of top ramen. And you just eat off of it every day. Yeah, I love all that MSG.
All of it.
And I look at it and I'm like, I know I don't need this, but it's just once. It's just, I can have it once in a blue moon. I will go and get me some top ramen and just sit there and just pure bliss eating it. It's just what do you guys think is the advantage to growing up then versus now? What do you think is the difference between our generation and the generation after?
I guess I would say we were more present. We were more active. We talked Dre just mentioned his one of his fondest memories was field day at school. Kids were outside all day from school doing PE, field day, and then you go home and you hang out with your friends and you do your homework. You'd be exhausted. You wouldn't have half the time to even do homework or talk to your family or watch TV after. You'd be freaking exhausted because you had activities. And these kids they're all on their phones all the time. And parents allow them to be on their phones all the time. And spoke about, I know you can't look this before, but it's we were just more present. Family time. You're sitting at the table. You would talk about your day, your folks, and you would have that hour just to connect or so before your favorite TV show came on. That all went to the living room and fitting your actual TV set, not a flat screen TV set. So if you missed that show,
with the rabbit ears, you didn't have cable.
Rabbit ears, for real. But I feel like I said, we were more active and we were more present than most of the kids.
Yeah.
What you got, Brad?
I was going to say the same thing, honestly. I wasn't going to say more present but I was going to say something less eloquent, I guess. But let me think. Go ahead, Ems, because I have to take a minute on that one.
I think we were more present. I also think our parents came from a different era too, where it was, family. And also in the 80s, when the crack epidemic came around, a lot of children, I feel like, probably mid 90s and up, maybe their parents weren't as present. Like I was thinking about the other day, I'm like, well, we grew up in a time when, drugs wasn't like my mom's in the 50s era. It was more family. It was more you come home, you see your household. It wasn't too much of the drugs going on back then. So if you had one parent or two parents, there was a parent constantly there. I think we also we utilized our imagination a lot more because we played. We went outside. We created our own world to play in, and I think that was why we're young. Like we look younger. If you think of like I look at like the younger kids and stuff, and I'm like, damn, you look stressed. You look, 16-year-olds are vaping, and what could you possibly be stressed at that age? And you think about the times, it's like, well, they probably never had those tools in place to cope, whereas we did. You get bullied outside. You don't run back to your mom and your dad and be like, they're always bullying me. You go and you defend yourself. We had more, I feel like 80s and 90s and 90s babies have tougher skin.
Yeah. And that's what good.
Like it allowed us to adapt and cope with the stressors of everyday life. I do feel bad for the kids now because I'm like, you guys don't know what it's like to be in your environment and not have to worry about, am I going to get, there were still those like, okay, you don't want to get kidnapped, but it wasn't as much now. There's just so much going on and it's so much within on reach for these children to where they can get into a lot and they have more stresses on them because of that. I don't know. I feel like we're better. It's better. I feel like but I do feel like the separations for me, like in the 90s is when you think of, okay, so in the 80s, most of the kids there weren't having, their parents their parents may not have been utilizing drugs, but if they had kids in their 90s or whatever, the drugs were more accessible. So now you have children growing up late 90s, 2000s, some that don't have somebody in the household.
Yeah. Right.
Late 80s as well, that just don't have anybody in the household. And so you're at a young age, you're having to fend for yourself. And so you raise kids in that, like, I feel like, and then their kids are raised like that because you've had to always be on the defensive of trying to fend for yourself. And you have that, if I had to go through it, then my kids are going to go through it. And it's like, with our parents, I feel like I'm doing what I have to do so my kids don't have to go through it.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because our parents at the time, they're not like the parents today. Like our parents you just passed on your parenting style from generation to generation. Now parenting was real different. Like I said, this past weekend I was in LA and I talked to this lady at this dinner party and she brought her son and he was just so calm and he was just so sweet and she was talking about how much she spends time just listening to him and talking to him and like they're very like the parents nowadays are very hands-on, like some of them, not all of them, but a lot of them are like really about the vibes and the chill and like when we talk to my kid, let me read to them, let me speak to them a certain, like they like to talk about feelings. I feel like the Gen Zs and the millennials, we like to talk about our feelings, talk about social issues a lot more. Like you said, Ebony, and we talk about our anxieties, our depressions, our identities, whether it be, a lot of kids are nowadays, and especially being a member of LGBTQ, a lot of our younger generation are speaking up when it comes to their pronouns and how they want to be addressed. And I feel like it's much different than it was in like Gen X and before. Because like in Gen X and before, baby boomers, like, you just don't talk about those things. Like, let's just go day to day. Let's get, it's all about the survival method. And now it's different. We're not in the same spaces anymore. People are feeling more comfortable opening up and talking about their feelings and what's going on. And this more like the halfway through the millennials going into Gen Z. A lot of us are very more knowing that, okay, I need to talk about my trauma. I need to let go. I need to release. Therapy is a big thing right now. Like, therapy back then wasn't a big thing. When you said therapy, people looked at you sideways like it was crazy. But now therapy, everybody's in therapy. Everybody's spending that money per hour to talk to a professional. So I feel like that's what's different from past generations, Gen X and baby boomers compared to millennials and Gen Z.
Do you think that has to do with because the kids now, their parents are in that millennial, generation? I also feel like with millennials, we have a certain discernment, maybe because a lot of us grew up with, boomer and Gen X parents who, like you said, like talking about your feelings, it was either just figure it out. And we've had to navigate that in our adulthood and realize that maybe that way of being with your kids is not probably the best way. And we've kind of like, and are more sensitive to our children because we want to break that cycle from what was done to us growing up.
That generational trauma we're our generation, like millennials and Gen Zs, they're trying to break the cycles. Now, don't get me wrong, old school way, some of the old school way, they need to bring back.
Yeah.
Like dealing with our parents. Our parents, they were a lot of them were stern. Like, they were involved. Like, I remember my mom, God bless her, I know she's watching. And my mom was very hands-on with, like, I know a lot of your parents too, so I can probably echo some of these sentiments, but my moms back in the day and dads, like, they had parent-teacher conferences. They showed up to classes. They knew who your teachers were. They knew everything was going on. They weren't over-occupied with careers and work, which is important as well. The parents were like, okay, I have a job, but my main job is to be a parent and a tutor to my child. So parents showing up back in the day, the parents used to show, you couldn't get away with shit at school with your parents. Because they would, like I said, landlines, they would call up.
My Spanish teacher had my mom's number on speed dial. And she would be like, and her work. Your daughter did not turn in her homework today. Yeah.
Like, we had after school tutoring. My mom would really show up for me in a sense where I hated math back in the day. Math, like I said, back then, math was like a major thing. Now, depending on what your career is, I was bad at math. But my mom back in the day, like most of our parents, my mom really made it easy for me to go to tutoring. She knew the teachers. The teachers knew her. Like you said, Evan, your mom knew your Spanish teacher. Like, it's just parents were just very hands-on. Regardless of whatever was going on, they would show up. And their parenting style is just different, know? So the old school way in certain things, it does work. Like, we got whoopings.
Thank you. Thank you. I was just about to say we needed whoopings. Whoopings is what needs to come back from the 80s and 90s. Bring the whoopings back.
Yeah. And we're not talking beating. We're talking just pat their butts. Because let me tell you,
smack.
One of those get it together. Right there.
Every spanking I got, I thoroughly deserved it. And there's probably a lot more my mom does not know about that I did deserve. I will take every spanking as a badge of honor because I deserved it.
I still get the twitch every time I hear a black leather belt. I just get the twitch.
I need another drink, but nerves. You guys
said this is high confidence Christian things.
The thought of it just
Women's need to come back. I man, because these kids these days. And then the thing also too is to know, like, what gets me, because I remember when I would get in trouble, I wouldn't get rewarded after. It wouldn't be like, okay, I did something, and then 5 seconds later, I can get, my game back or with my Barbies. It'd be like, no, you're taking your butt to bed or you're going to sleep. I knew the consequences of my actions meant that there was not going to be no reward for me. I think, and I've seen, examples of where kids are just talking crazy to their parents, and then they'll get, whatever they want afterwards. It's almost like,
yeah, hide that generation, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. So last thought for this wind down Wednesday. If you could do one thing to expand your imagination or just bring out the kid in you, whether it's an outdoor thing, indoor thing, what would you do? What would you commit yourself to do?
You said expand your. Say it again, so I can internalize.
You know what? I totally just.
No more wine for her. No more tea. No more black tea for her.
All right. Now, like, if you can expand, like, your, creativity or like just your imagination.
Expand my creativity.
Or use something that would bring out your child, like just the child. Because I always feel like the inner child, is never gone. It's there. And sometimes you've got to just feed it. And so what did you do to feed your inner child?
I think right now, what I would like to do, I'm a big fan of magic, or the idea of, or the possibility of magic. So right now, if I had to feed my inner child, I would lose myself in the world of Harry Potter at Disney World. That sounds incredible to me right now. Like, I know there's some science behind whatever, tricks that they're doing over there, but I don't care. I'm just going to go over there and believe that Hogwarts is a real place, that Harry Potter was a real living person, and that Hagrid is going to show me some brand new dragon that I've never seen in my life. And that would bring out the inner child in me right now. I'd be very excited about that.
You went to the one in Universal in LA, in California? They have a
I went to Universal in Orlando,
okay.
But I didn't see. No, I need to go. Yeah, that would be. I mean, I've been once before, and I passed by the shop. I can't remember the shop that has the wands in it. I can't remember the name of it now. But the shop that has the wands in it, and they had some screen, which I'm sure was just like an LED screen. I passed by the screen, and it said, come in here and get your wand. And I feel like I want to act like they knew my name. I don't know if I was wearing a band or something that they scanned. But I was just absolutely floored by the situation that happened there. So I don't even understand why. I just wanted to believe. I just want to believe now. I don't care if it's not real. I want to believe. I'm a big ass kid. That's why I had right now.
It's Harry Potter.
Right.
Now you got me want to read the books, Craig. Now I gotta go call my mom, get all my books. I would say for me, what I would love to do, I know I can't do it as an adult, but if I could, I might have to take one of my nieces and nephews with me. It's going into this place by yourself, it's really sus. I would like to spend a few hours, like I said, being a big kid like Dre, going to Chuck E. Cheese.
Thank you. I knew
ordering the pizza by myself. I just want to really actually forget the kids. I'm going by myself. If they go to this class, then I'm gonna pretend one of the kids there is with me. Anyway, I'll figure it out. But I would love to spend an afternoon at Chuck E. Cheese. I used to love the basketball, playing the basketball all day. Basketball, the whack-a-mole, eating the pizza, getting the prizes, getting up on stage, dancing with the animatronics. I want the whole experience because, like, these kids now, I mean, there's only a few of them left. There's not a lot of Chuck E. Cheese. They shut them down. Few of them down here and there because of new development and because of the sign of time. So if you see them, they're like very, very rare. So I would like to kind of relive my childhood going to see every birthday, whether it's myself, a friend, a cousin, a friend of a friend, sister, cousin, aunties, uncles, baby sister would have their birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese. And I spent so much money and so much time there. And I'm sure my mother has spent so much money and time there. Sometimes I think she would bribe some of the people just to sit and get those big prizes. She would give them cash. And they'd be like, sure. So I would love to relive that childhood memory for me. That was to the time.
I think for me, it would be, summer and just thinking about what I did as a kid during the summer. I would love to go. There's this river we used to go to when we were kids. When I was a kid, it's called Kings River, and we would look for tadpole. We would select tadpole. I always like to do that, just something outdoorsy, whether it's going to a lake or maybe it's one of the national forests, and just, I don't know, it's just, look for bugs.
Outdoors.
Rolly the other day, and I was like, oh, roly poly, because I used to, like the potato bugs, we used to call it roly polies. That's what I would want to do. Just go spend a day and just outside.
Wait, did y'all have lightning bugs in California?
Oh, I saw my first lightning bug in New York.
No, I grew up with lightning bugs in Missouri, and it was that is another thing that I used to love waiting for the sun to go down so we could see all the lightning bugs flying around, and we'd grab them and put them in a jar and poke holes in it. We learned very quickly that the bugs would die without air.
Yeah.
We poked holes in the jar, and we had the lightning bug in the jar. We just had them, we turn off all our lights in our house, and we carry the lanterns around our homes, and it would just be the best. The best. Oh my gosh, I forgot all about that until right now. That's great.
I didn't think it existed, because my mom's from Michigan, so Midwest, I guess you see him. And I didn't believe her. I was like, there's no such thing as a lightning bug. And then I moved to New York, and I was in Long Island. And I was like, what are those things? And then my friend was like, those are lightning bugs. I'm like, oh my gosh, fireflies, they do exist.
Right. Incredible.
One childhood memory from like the 90s. Do y'all remember Saturday morning cartoons?
Oh, yes.
Oh my gosh.
Because your t-shirt, Miss Ebony,
yes,
reminds me of a famous character from a famous cartoon.
I know.
Do you know?
I know what I was going for.
What were you going for?
Girl,
you are serving patty mayonnaise realness. That was on the Saturday morning cartoons.
Your favorite cereal, that would be the thing. I was like, you know what? When I think of 90s, I think of Doug.
Right,
yes.
exactly.
And I think of living single for 90s for me.
Right.
I'm such a raisin.
I think of shoulder pads. That's why I have this patch right there.
Shoulder pads. The higher the better.
Exactly. And just sit all the way up here.
Right.
So cute, girl. Look at my shoulders touch my ears. I'm so tall.
Oh, gosh. Well, that wraps it up. Thank y'all for tuning in to Brew and Banter. And again, if you guys have any ideas, show ideas, or if there's, topic you want to discuss, drop it down. Go to our socials at Brew and Banter Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify. And you never know, we might just reach out to you and ask you to be a special guest. So until next time, enjoy the rest of this Wednesday wind down, and bye-bye.
Bye.
I'm about to get my drink, refill it on another one, because about to get another one, and another one.
This is much too long.
Ridiculous. I'm going to be like running.
It's not running.